This is just an absolutely manufactured crisis. There's a difference between urgent and important. The example I use is if you have cancer, it's really important that you get to your doctor and do something about it. But if your hair's on fire and you have cancer, it's really urgent that you put out your hair. You put out the fire. If your clothes are on fire, it's really important that you put out the fire before you call the doctor's office about the cancer. Well, we have an important problem with our debt issue, but we have an urgent problem. Well, it's actually not urgent, the debt ceiling. The Republicans are making it urgent by refusing to raise it. So that's an interesting thing. We got right-wing terrorism happening in Norway and in the United States. There was a right-wing terrorist attack yesterday. And didn't get much coverage because it wasn't actually, here we go. Molotov cocktail thrown into a church by a Muslim in the Dallas area. Yes, Fox has been all over it all day long. Mark Williams of the Tea Party Express, MarkTalk.com, former chair of the Tea Party Express, current conservative commentator and the author of Taking Back America, One Tea Party at a Time. Mark, you heard about this Muslim throwing a firebomb into a church?
Actually, I did not, and I'm in Texas this week working in San Antonio. So
well, let me just check the details here. There was a terrorist attack in America this week. A Molotov cocktail was thrown into a Dallas area, Planned Parenthood clinic late Tuesday. I'm sorry.
Yes,
okay, so that's why it's not being reported on, because it's just terrorism against women. Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, I wanted to talk to you about this, the threat of right-wing terrorism, and now the Department of Homeland Security has one person working out of a closet looking into it, and we kind of all hope he doesn't take a vacation. But before we get to that, I'm curious. John McCain had this to say on the floor of the Senate about the Tea Party caucus in the House of Representatives.
The idea seems to be that if the House GOP refuses to raise the debt ceiling, a default crisis or gradual government shutdown will ensue, and the public will turn en masse against Barack Obama. Republican House that failed to raise the debt ceiling would somehow escape all the blame. Then Democrats would have no choice but to pass a balanced budget amendment and reform entitlements, and the Tea Party hobbits could return to Middle Earth, having defeated Mordor.
He doesn't seem real excited about you guys.
Well, actually, just the mental imagery of the vision of him looking the way he does, talking about hobbits is kind of funny to start with. But I mean, what's happening in Washington is something very simple. We don't have a problem getting money into the city. We have a problem getting money. We have a problem spending too much of it out of the city. It's a very simple concept to grasp. When you're a businessman, I'm a businessman. When revenue falls, we cut our expenses. We find new efficiencies.
Actually, I don't. When revenue falls, I go looking for advertisers to try to raise revenue, and we've done that quite successfully over the years.
You look for new ones. You don't go back to the old ones and say, you got to pay me twice what you're paying me now.
Well, it's an imperfect analogy because there's only one set of taxpayers in the United States, unless you think that we should start taxing Mexico.
I think we should start taxing all Americans. Right now, only 46% of Americans pay income tax.
No, 100% of Americans who work pay federal taxes, Mark. Stop lying.
If we drop, 100% of Americans pay taxes in one form or another.
Pay federal taxes, yes.
Whether it be sales tax or if you pay.
If you work, you pay FICA. You pay payroll tax. If you work, you pay payroll tax. And by the way, if you earn over $106,800, you no longer pay Social Security tax. That's wrong.
And then when you take your deductions and you get your credits and yada, yada, yada. I mean, the number comes from Treasury.
Most Americans do not. Most Americans who make under $70,000 a year do not take any deductions. They use the short form.
I can only take
vast
what
majority.
The Treasury Department tells me. So if we were to apply a fixed number or even a stepped number, I would even grant a bit of progressivism here, across the board to everybody, to all income. That would be a much fairer system, would net much more money. Personally, I'd like to see the income tax eliminated entirely because it taxes production, and I would rather shift to a value-added tax system. But that's only me, because that would reapportion the burden to the richest who are spending the most money out there from the poor.
Actually, Mark, the richest don't spend the largest percentage of their income. The poorest spend 100% of their income. The working class spend 100% of their income. The middle class right now are spending 98% of their income. Back in the 1970s and 60s, they were spending 87% of their income.
A poor person, somebody at the poverty level who spends 100% of their income is a drop in the ocean.
And the millionaires and billionaires are spending a tiny fraction of their income.
So tax the guy who buys the private jet when he buys the private jet. That's what that alone covers the taxes of what?
So you're in favor of rolling back the private jet loophole. You want to roll back the private jet loophole. The Tea Party caucus will have nothing to do with that, That's what caused Eric Cantor to leave the talks.
It's not a loophole.
It's accelerated depreciation.
Private jets put in there by the Congress because the people who build private jets lobbied to have it put in there.
Right. It's accelerated depreciation. The airlines have to depreciate over 7 years. What they said is if a rich guy buys a jet, he can depreciate it over 5 years. This was just a giveaway to wealthy individuals. And why should wealthy individuals get accelerated depreciation when even the airlines don't?
In this case, because they happen to provide a lot of jobs.
No, it's because they happen to provide a lot of campaign contributions to Republicans and Democrats. Come on, Mark, you know that.
The income tax and the exemptions and incentives and loopholes are insanity. That's why we've got to move away from that and go to a flat tax, a fair tax, or eliminate income tax altogether and go to a value-added tax.
People at the top of the income,
their fair share.
Exactly, and people at the top of the pyramid, the economic pyramid in the United States, are making money because of patent laws, because of copyright laws, because of a court system that enforces those laws, because of the right to contract laws in a court system. They should be paying for some of that. They should be paying for some of that with income taxes.
All of this income taxes are a social engineering tool, and at the moment,
no, they can be. They're a way of paying for the cost of government, Mark. How else are you going to pay for government?
Again,
you want a value-added tax. You want to tax on.
If you want to tax income, tax everybody's income. A flat rate.
We are taxing everybody's income. I don't
care what form that takes. And if you can't do that, then do away with the income tax and tax the consumption.
We are taxing everybody's income.
The guy who buys the private jet is going to spend more money in that one transaction than an entire village of poor people will spend in their lifetime.
Mark, it's really simple. The poor people are not making money by virtue of courts enforcing contracts. Poor people are not making money by virtue of government subsidies to large corporations. Poor people are paying. Let me finish this point. 100% of their income, Mark, 100% of the income of poor people is being taxed for the benefits that poor people get, which is Social Security and Medicare. 100% of their income is being taxed for that. Millionaires and billionaires are not, they don't care about that. Their tax should be on the benefits that they're making that allows them to be millionaires and billionaires. But instead, we've got with the hedge fund managers this carry forward option that allows them to pay zero taxes. How's that right?
Yeah, and again, that's one of the flaws of the income tax. But I'm shocked to hear you say, as an artist, that you should not have the right to protect the integrity of your work, and that you should have no recourse should somebody use your work.
I'm with Thomas Jefferson. I think patents and copyrights should last for 3 years. After 3 years, and I have 23 books in print, and I make a good living from them. And after 3 years, I think everything should go into the public domain because nobody, including me, nobody creates something entirely out of whole cloth. There is no such thing as a singular creative act. When you invent something, you're building on all the inventions before that. When you write something, you're building on everything that came before that. I'm with Thomas Jefferson on this. I think this whole Mickey Mouse thing lives long after Walt Disney is wrong. But anyhow, Mark Williams, marktalk.com is his website. Marktalk.com, DOTCOM is his Twitter address. And his book is Taking Back America, One Tea Party at a Time. Mark, always good talking with you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.